Hey there! Today we're diving into book number 2, Buddha, Brain and Neurophysiology of Happiness. How to Change Lives for the Better, Practical Guide. Yes, the title is as long as the wait at a hospital. In this video, I'm sharing 7 intriguing insights from the book. But first, let's ask the big question. Is this book really worth your time? To sum it up, it's decent. Not a game changer, but certainly not a disaster. Kind of like a movie you can put on in the background while you chow down on pizza. If you've never tried meditation, this book might spark your curiosity and even get you to close your eyes for a solid 5 minutes, just long enough until your cat demands attention. Ready for the key takeaways? Let's dive in. Conclusion number 1. There were many times when I found myself reviewing the notes from my conversations with Rinpoche during my stay in Nepal. In those moments, he would either pretend to fall asleep or gaze out the window, as if he were about to leap out. At first, I thought, wow, these notes must be incredibly boring. But then it hit me, this was his playful way of showing me that I was taking things way too seriously. It was his reminder that a certain level of lightheartedness is essential in Buddhist practice. The Buddha's first teaching even mentions that if life is filled with suffering, the best antidote is laughter. And not just any laughter, the kind where you can laugh at yourself. Because when you stop taking yourself too seriously, you begin to see things more clearly, and every experience becomes richer and more vibrant. Rinpoche constantly reminded me of this lesson through his jokes and his playful behavior. It became the most valuable teaching I received throughout my time with him. Don't take yourself too seriously. Ironically, in a book about the brain, neurophysiology, and happiness, the most important advice is to learn to laugh at yourself. I wholeheartedly agree with this. When you start thinking of yourself as some chosen savior leading others to enlightenment with a solemn face, you're likely headed for trouble. Why? Because you're bound to be emotionally overwhelmed. Life, in its essence, is a flow, an ebb and a rise. If you're constantly tense and serious, nothing good will come of it. It's crucial to relax, smile, show your vulnerabilities, and embrace them without fear. So go ahead, smile, laugh at yourself, and who knows? This might just be the beginning of your own enlightenment. Conclusion number 2. In the realm of neurology, this is known as neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to form new connections and reshape old ones. In Tibetan tradition, there's even a term for it, lesarunwa. It roughly translates to flexibility or pliability. So now you've got a fancy new word to drop at your next gathering and make everyone think, wow, you're so enlightened. The beauty of this concept is that, on a cellular level, repeated experiences can actually reprogram the brain. This is why Buddhist practice is so effective at helping us break free from mental habits that lead to suffering. And here's the cool part. Discussions around habits are usually reserved for practical books like Atomic Habits, where you expect to hear about such things. But in this case, it's coming from the world of Buddhism and spirituality, yet the message is the same. Our minds are flexible, and they can be reshaped. This is truly inspiring, because realizing that you have the power to change your habits and your perspective on life brings a sense of freedom. You're not forever trapped in your old thinking and behavior patterns. You can start rewriting the script at any time. And let's be honest, that's pretty incredible. Conclusion number 3. Once, during a trip to Canada, I found myself in a secluded spot by the ocean. The weather that day was perfect, the sky was clear, and the ocean was so deep, blue, and transparent that it felt like pure serenity to look at it. But the next morning, everything had changed. I woke up, glanced out, and saw that the ocean had turned into a thick, murky soup. I couldn't understand what had happened. Just yesterday, it was so clear and vibrant, and now, everything was cloudy. I went down to the shore and searched for any obvious explanation. No dirt, no debris. Then, I looked up at the sky and noticed it was covered with dark green clouds. That's when it clicked. The change in the ocean was a reflection of the change in the sky. The water, in reality, was just as clear and transparent as it had been before. That moment became a powerful metaphor for me. The mind, like the ocean, changes from day to day. Thoughts, emotions, experiences, they're like clouds drifting across the sky. They shift our perception, and it might feel like the mind itself is changing. But in truth, the mind remains as clear and pure as it always was. Now, imagine you don't have an ocean nearby. No problem, you can still use this metaphor anywhere. Let's say you've got a stinky river. Go see it on a sunny day, and everything looks fine. On a cloudy day, though, it will look completely different. But remember, it's just an illusion created by the ever-changing clouds or thoughts. When negativity creeps into your mind, don't think your mind has changed. It's the same as always. You're just witnessing the passing clouds. And if you start to feel angry or anxious, remind yourself, there's nothing wrong with your mind. All you need to do is let those thoughts go. And if you feel even a little bit lighter, go ahead, and enjoy life. Takeaway number 4. If we view our experiences through the lens of time, it becomes clear that much of what surrounds us exists within that context, things like schedules, glasses of water, and so on, but only in a relative sense. Most of us divide time into past, present, and future, thinking in phrases like, I was in a boring meeting. I'm sitting in a boring meeting. I have a boring meeting to go to this morning. I was feeding the kids. I'm feeding the kids lunch right now. Oh, I need to make lunch for the kids, and there's nothing in the fridge. I'll have to run to the store after this boring meeting. But when we really think about it, the past is simply a collection of experiences that have already happened. No longer are we in the meeting. No longer are we feeding the kids. No longer are we running to the store. All of these are like grains of corn that have been burned in the ocean of time. Once burned, the grain is gone. What's left is just a memory, a thought that has passed through the mind. The past, then, is just an idea, and so is the future. We tend to call something future even though it hasn't happened yet. For example, we don't talk about a tree that hasn't been planted yet as a living, tangible thing, because we have no context for such a conversation. Similarly, we don't speak of children who haven't yet been conceived, just like we don't speak of people who aren't present in our lives at this very moment. So, the future, too, is just an idea, a thought that has passed through our mind. Takeaway number 5. To truly understand reality, we must let go of the illusions we hold dear and recognize that everything we perceive as other is simply a spontaneous expression of our own mind. This means dropping our rigid ideas about what reality should be and instead experiencing it as it truly is. But don't worry, you don't have to retreat to a cave or meditate on a mountaintop to achieve this. You can still enjoy life's experiences without being overly attached to them. Think of them as you would a dream, fascinating, fleeting, and ever-changing. In fact, when you start viewing experiences this way, you might be surprised at how much more vibrant and dynamic the world becomes. Once you realize the difference between appearance and illusion, you start to see how many of your perceptions were actually flawed or biased. Maybe your idea of how things should be is so rigid that it prevents you from seeing alternative perspectives. But when you grasp the clarity and openness of your mind, life becomes richer, more vivid, and full of possibilities you never imagined. For example, say you went fishing as a child and found it boring, mosquitoes biting, the river stinking, your boots getting muddy. That memory is stored in your mind, and now, years later, you assume fishing will always be like that. But in reality, it could be entirely different. I say this as someone who's only fished once in my life, but you get the idea. The same goes for anything. If your first time riding a bike wasn't pleasant, it doesn't mean every ride will be. This applies to objects, too. If you think of a pencil as hard, a pen as something that smudges, and paper as just ordinary, you're simply applying labels. But these labels are just mental constructs. When you begin to experience things without preconceptions, you step into a state of openness, what Buddhism refers to as emptiness. And emptiness is enlightenment. It's the freedom from all the mental baggage we carry. As long as you cling to rigid labels and stereotypes, you remain trapped by them. But once you let them go, the world becomes limitless. Takeaway number 6. Stopping your meditation when you feel clarity and openness has a powerful double effect. First, it helps you accumulate energy like a farmer collecting water in a pond to later irrigate his fields. Second, when you release that energy, its impact ripples outward just like water flowing from that pond, nourishing everything in its path. In the long run, this cycle creates a profound transformation. When you finish meditating, you step into the world with newfound truth and clarity. Then, the next time you meditate, you release that accumulated energy back into your practice, amplifying its effects. Over time, this process allows you to change not just your own mind, but the world around you. And here's the kicker: this is the great secret that has never been revealed to anyone before. Wait, what? Did I just casually drop a life-altering truth bomb, and you missed it? And finally, the 7th conclusion. I won't even spell it out, let it remain a mystery. Just observe a child lost in a computer game. They press buttons, defeat enemies, rack up points, completely absorbed in the experience. Now, take a step back and look at adults. We play too. But our games have different names: money, career, relationships, social status, and they can be just as addictive. The key difference between a child and an adult is awareness, the ability to step back and recognize the game for what it is. The moment you do this, something shifts. Instead of judgment, you begin to feel compassion for those still trapped inside, mistaking the game for reality. Criticism, gossip, competition, these, too, are just different levels of the game. We may have outgrown video games, well, most of us, but we continue to play at business, friendship, success. Every passion, every pursuit is just another level in the grand game called life. Now, imagine you're obsessed with work, deeply invested in the game of career. But then, suddenly, you realize this is just a game. It matters, sure, but not so much that it should consume you entirely. Because when you take life too seriously, you set yourself up for exhaustion, disappointment, burnout. The solution: play consciously, recognize the game, and bring the spirit of playfulness into your life. See it as a process, not a do-or-die mission. Because only then can you truly win, not just in the game, but in the joy of playing itself. Good luck, and enjoy the game.